am Starry R, your lovely devly PNG tuber, here today to discuss the parallels of the 5-star Diluc from the popular game Genshin Impact to the popular superhero Batman, aka Bruce Wayne. Since I don't know too much about Batman and intend for my video to steer closer to game content rather than superhero or comic content, this video will be primarily on Diluc, so please don't get disappointed if I have much more on Diluc lore discussed than Batman lore. And also, because I'm not a big Batman buff, I did an information search to gather qualities that I think make up Batman and compare them to Diluc and his story, pointing out similarities and differences as I go on, but please feel free to tell me if you feel any of this is false. In my information search, I gathered a list to just make things easier for myself since I don't know too much about Batman. Our wonderful list I gathered says Batman qualities are: he has a secret identity, he is rich, he's an orphan, he has a butler, he's an enjoyer of justice, he doesn't kill, he has a secret hideout, and he is a vigilante. So I will be going through each of the criteria on this list and comparing them to Diluc and his story. So let's begin. Secret identity. Diluc does have a secret identity, and I wanted to bring this point up first because I think it's the strongest piece of evidence that Diluc is intended to allude to Batman, and that is because Diluc's alias is the Dark Knight hero. Yes, you did hear that right. Hoyo blatantly made Diluc's hidden identity's name be the exact same as the extremely popular Batman movie, The Dark Knight. This is some pretty good evidence that Hoyo intended Diluc to be the thia Batman. But anyway, I don't think I even have to say it, but Batman does have a secret identity, which is Batman, and his real legal name is Bruce Wayne. Next category is rich. Diluc, as we may already know, is very rich, inheriting and becoming the head of his family's wine tycoon after the untimely death of his father. This is actually very similar to Bruce Wayne, who was also mind-bogglingly rich and also inherited his family's tycoon after both of his parents' untimely death. This actually leads to my next point, which is on the orphan. Both Diluc and Batman are orphans. I don't think it ever explicitly said how his parents died in the game, but if you read the manga, you know his father died on Diluc's 18th birthday after being mortally wounded using a delusion to fight a now dead monster called Ursa the Drake. And his mom was never specified on how she died, but we can tell she's not around. Anyway, I was interested in what a drake is, so I looked it up and found it means either two different types of dragon. One has 4 legs and no wings, which Ursa the Drake does have wings, and the second meaning is a young, not fully grown dragon. This I actually find really interesting because that means that this dragon that has been wreaking havoc on Mondstadt for over 1,000 years was not even fully grown, making me wonder the damage a real full-grown dragon in Teyvat could do and how long they live for. Batman, as you might already know, lost his parents after they decided to take a shortcut down Park Road and ended up being murdered by muggers when he was 8. You might think the alley was called Crime Alley, but actually that's a nickname given to it because of his parents' murder, being such a wide shock to Gotham. Now, this is slightly different from Diluc because Batman became orphaned at a much younger age than Diluc, who became orphaned at 18, but they are both still orphans. Has a butler. Batman has his iconic butler Alfred, who raised him after his parents' death and aids him in his vigilante work. And while Diluc doesn't have any notable butlers, he does have a notable maid, Adelind. I find it very suspicious how both their names start with an A. However, Alfred helped raise Batman, and I don't think Adelind had a hand in raising Diluc or Kaya, but I do believe she began working in the Dawn Winery when they were both still young kids, since it is said she is the longest working maid, meaning she is a constant in Diluc's life, similar to how Alfred is Bruce's constant throughout his entire life as well. Enjoyer of justice. My answer to this one is a little iffy, but I'm going to say yes, Diluc is an enjoyer of justice, and I say this because Diluc blamed the Fatui for his father's death and acted in the way he saw as justifiable, even if it really wasn't. If you don't know, after his father died, Diluc attacked and killed many Fatui in Snezhnaya because he blamed them for his father's death, since his wounds his father got were from a delusion. Now, if you don't know, a delusion is a powerful vision-like object created by the Fatui that gains its powers from feeding off the remains of deceased gods and other powerful beings. Because of this, delusions can give the same powers that a vision can. However, they also have terrible side effects and can suck the life out of its users. An example of this can be Tepe from the Inazuma Archon quest, who died due to the life-draining effects of the Fatui's delusion. Yes, his father's death could be because of the delusion. I don't think it's justifiable to have killed the Fatui like Diluc did, but that is what Diluc saw as justifiable. Also, I would just like to say, I don't think Diluc's father would have died if the events that led afterwards didn't happen, which I will get to in my next bit. Doesn't kill. As I said before, Diluc obviously attacked and killed many Fatui, therefore he does kill. And not only that, but Diluc also killed his own father, believing it would be best to end his suffering rather than him having a slower death. So yeah. Now, they could have just drawn it this way to be a little bit more appropriate to all audiences, but based off of the manga, I think Diluc's dad probably would have survived, and Diluc killing him was a little rash. Now, to address Batman not killing, I know I'm probably going to get someone that's going to say, actually, Batman has killed in insert comic here. But I'm specifically talking about the more recent portrayals of Batman, which have a strict no-killing rule after its popularity when it was presented in the Dark Knight movies. Anyway, so has his secret hideout. It is thought that Diluc's manor might have a hidden chamber where he conducts his vigilante activities as a Dark Knight hero, though I don't think it was ever verbally said in the game, but with how big his manor is and how secretive Diluc is, I would not be surprised at all if he had a secret hideout. And this kind of makes sense in my head because it's not like Bruce Wayne who's going around telling everybody that he has a secret hideout. And I doubt Diluc would either as the Dark Knight hero. Anyway, so next is Vigilante. I actually use this word a lot to describe Diluc a couple of times throughout this video, so he obviously is a vigilante. However, I will still explain why. And vigilante is a pretty big word, so if you don't know, a vigilante is a self-appointed citizen who practices in law enforcement without any legal agencies attached to them. An example of this is Batman. So anyway, Diluc did work for the Knights of Favonius, and if you don't know, the Knights of Favonius are kind of like the police of Mondstadt, kind of protectors keeping the peace and the law, and it was founded by Vanessa with the help of Barbados 1,000 years ago. And fun fact, Vanessa is actually Diluc's great-great-grandmother, which is funny because she made the Knights of Favonius in an attempt to prevent aristocrats from ruling the land. Which I feel like Diluc is kind of the opposite of because he is an aristocrat and he does have quite a bit of land. Also, some say that Diluc's ultimate when he brings out his Firehawk is actually her incarnation because she was nicknamed the West Hawk. But anyway, Diluc was a part of the Knights of Favonius at some point in his life. However, after his trip to Snezhnaya, he resigned from working for them and focused his time on his newly inherited tycoon and later became a vigilante. This is slightly different from Batman because Batman has never attempted or worked in any sort of law enforcement, and what I mean by this is he was never a police officer, like Diluc was. So it isn't quite the same as Diluc, but Batman does work very closely with Gotham law enforcement. So there you go, that is my full comparison between Batman and Diluc. It is without a doubt someone in the production of Diluc did this on purpose. However, the question now is, was Diluc made with the intention to be Teyvat's Batman, or was the Batmanification of Diluc something that came later on down the road? I think maybe the parallels were added for kicks and giggles after Diluc was already a solid character in the game, especially because Diluc has a brother Kaya, while Batman is famously an only child. Another difference, and actually my brother pointed this out to me, is Batman seems to have an odd obsession with orphans who do acrobatics. And I don't think Diluc has an obsession with orphans who do acrobatics, but that might just be a little too specific. But tell me what you think in the comments, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my comparison of these two characters from totally different franchises, and please don't be afraid to give me any more comparison recommendations. Hope you have a wonderful day. Okay, bye!